This video is about one thing in particular, and that is called the cancer of YouTube, the cancer of the gaming industry as a whole. And so it starts off like this. Why on earth does everyone have an expectation for a $400 console to give you the same performance that a dedicated gaming rig would? Yes, I said it, because it's really that simple. Why on earth does everyone expect this $400 machine to give you the top-notch performance, 1080p, 60 frames a second with tessellation and aliasing turned up to God knows what, PhysX, and all the other wonderful factors and features that they have to come out of this $400 box that is built on a system on a chip? Why on earth is that the expectation? Why on earth is a game considered garbage just because the native resolution is not 1080p, even though the hardware shouldn't even be compared to a machine that can play a game at 1080p? I'm really wondering that, people. And why on earth are we listening to YouTubers who don't even own 8th generation consoles talk about how bad it is? It's pretty crazy and ridiculous all at the same time. You don't want to know what I think? Get back to playing the games. If you're so concerned about the performance of the consoles of the 8th generation, then stop being so cheap. You see, the reality is this. If Microsoft or Sony built machines that were dedicated to playing games at 1080p at 60 frames per second, no one would buy them because they would demand premiums of at least $4.99 to $5.99. And last time I checked, history is a clear indication of what happens when you price a console at a $5.99 price point. I think it was called the PlayStation 3. And yeah, it had some pretty specs and hardware. Those were pretty top-notch for its day and age. The fact of the matter is the home console is a little different than a dedicated gaming rig. And let's be clear, the PC gamer has a right to have a really lofty expectation for gameplay, features, specs, etc. He's paid a premium price for all of his components and built a top-notch machine that should have that type of performance. Well, that's not the case with home consoles. They are built for a wide diversity of gameplay at a reasonable price point to demographics all across the world. And being affordable is one of the primary things that a home console must be. You see, no matter how much the PC gaming platform continues to grow, it's still considered a niche market. It's a niche market. It is. There's no other way to say it. And there's a lot of reasons why it's a niche market, but the home console market is a totally different model. And people are complaining about the lack of AAA titles. Well, anytime a game is released and it's called garbage because it's not meeting the resolution requirements that a PC gaming rig would have, yeah, there's a clear problem. Hell, I wouldn't want to make games for you too. And people really wonder why all the big studios are saying, you know what? It's not worth the risk of making one huge game that flops and takes us down. And more companies are breaking up those type of traditional ideals and starting to make more indie games. You know, people don't like indie games, then lower your expectations for what home consoles should be able to perform for you. Now, if your expectation is that of a PC gamer, then you have every right to that. But as long as you're playing on a $400 piece of hardware, and that includes the price too of the controller, then you need to check it. It's that plain and simple. And last but not least, my gosh, stop listening to stupid people who don't even own any of the 8th generation consoles. From their point of view, there are no exclusive games this generation that is worthy of them to play. And that in itself is just ridiculous. They would rather stick to their platform on the PC and miss out on all the exclusives that come out for all the different consoles. Yeah, that's really smart for people who really supposedly love gaming. Well, this was a short rant, and I hope, for goodness sake, you get the point. check your expectations when something doesn't cost nearly what it would cost if it was a elite machine. Please do that.